You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Welcome into another edition of Talkin Ducks, and we've got a great one for you today because we had a chance to sit down with Oregon head football coach Dan Lanning. He'll join us and share with us his vision for the program, how things have been going for him so far, and what he's most excited about for next year. And then Dan Rubenstein, great friend of the show. He hosts the Solid Verbal podcast. We'll talk more about what he thinks as far as what Lanning's done here at Oregon. And same thing, does he expect the Ducks to continue to be at the top of the Pac-12, or will USC threaten? And then, of course, Matt Preem will join us, share his thoughts on hoops and football recruiting as signing day is now in the rearview mirror. But let's go ahead and get to the opening drive, brought to you by Les Schwab Tire Centers, where they've been doing the right thing since 1952, and Oregon men's basketball. Unfortunately, one of the worst losses in the Dana Altman era, and we say that just because what was at stake for Oregon. This is a team that had won 9 of their last 10 conference games. I had the call for this one, and I could not believe what I was seeing as Oregon was losing at home to Cal, a Cal team that just recently snapped a 10-game losing streak. And the issue with this game was Cal just out-executed Oregon. The Bears had a 24-0 run in the first half. And for Oregon, at one point, they were shooting just 6% from the three-point line with a couple minutes left in this game. And so you look at one of Oregon's poorest offensive efforts, one of their poorest execution games of the season against a Cal team that really came in and performed everything they were trying to do in their game plan. Here's Dana Altman afterwards, obviously a very disappointed head coach.
We got to put this one behind us. I'd like to harp on it a little bit and try to get some things, but we can't. We got to come back tomorrow and get ready. There's no, there's nothing else we can do. It's a bad loss. We do have opportunities. I told them that, to try to get them, to put this one behind us. We got opportunities. Washington State's ahead of us in the net, UCLA, USC, Arizona. We got opportunities, but we're going to have to play a heck of a lot better and a heck of a lot more together and move that ball a lot better than we did tonight.
We'll obviously hear from Matt Preem later and get his thoughts on what this game means for Oregon, but this was devastating to Oregon's NCAA tournament chances, unfortunately, because this caliber of a loss at home really hurts the resume. And what it means for Oregon is you now essentially have to beat either Arizona, who is playing so well right now, or you've got to knock off one of the LA teams, and they obviously have stepped up their game. So a lot of work for Oregon to do if they want to get to the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, despite how well the Ducks were playing, this loss to Cal certainly stings. All right, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we sit down with Dan the Man, that's right, Coach Lanning. He'll join us for a couple of segments and talk everything about what he's learned so far on the fly here at Oregon. Don't go anywhere. More Talkin Ducks when we come back.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we'd gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check. Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Time now for some excellence off the field, presented by Ferguson Wellman. Ferguson Wellman taking a disciplined approach to investing. Myself, Joey Harrington, of course, the Oregonians' very own Aaron Fentress, had a chance to sit down, have a lengthy conversation with the newest head coach of the Oregon football team, Mr. Dan Lanning. Well, Coach, thanks again for joining us, man. And I got to ask you, it's been such a crazy 2 months for you so far. Have you finally had a chance to sort of catch your breath or feel like things are settling down for you?
Yeah, I know. After signing day hit, I actually, my family's still in Georgia, so I red-eyed back to Athens, back to Atlanta, and I slept till 8:30 that day, and I felt like it was like the best day ever. And then I realized that was like 5:30 on the West Coast, but still, no, it's been fun. I've definitely caught my breath. I feel like I got new wings, and it's been a lot of fun really being around our players the last, few weeks. That's what's been appealing.
Hey, Coach, when you were hired, you said you were able to be selective, right? You were at a great place. You had other offers. You said that you had the luxury of kind of getting to choose where you wanted to go. You chose us. Why? What makes this job special? What made you say, this is the place that I want to go?
Yeah, it's a great question. Ultimately, for me, I'm the ultimate competitor. I want to be in a place where I felt you can compete to win. And I think in college football that the haves and the have-nots, that gap is growing more and more each day. But Oregon has proven over time to be a premier program on the West Coast and nationally. It's got a brand that you can walk into any living room and it's recognized. There's players on this roster that I wanted to coach, some that I personally recruited at other places I've been. So I knew what kind of talent we had. And I saw great alignment with administration here all the way to, through the university itself, the academic side with the athletic side, all that kind of pieced together. And then you say, okay, where do you want to raise your kids? What kind of place do you want to live with your family? And I have 3 boys. That was really important to me. This is the kind of place that I wanted to be.
Hey, Coach. We've talked about this on the show a couple of times already. You're 0-0 on the field because you haven't played a game yet, but you're 1-0 in the hearts of Oregon fans. This fan base was in deep mourning when Mario Cristobal left for Miami, and I tweeted one day, I said, hey, there will be life after Mario Cristobal. You have come in with your staff. You have breathed new life, new excitement into this fan base. What does it mean to you to be accepted and embraced the way you have been by a fan base, like I said, was down in the dumps there for about 5 days?
Yeah, the fan base here at Oregon has been unreal for me, our staff, our entire, our team. And I don't know that sometimes people realize how much of an impact they can make. That's been a benefit for us in recruiting. That's been a benefit for our players. Certainly been welcoming to our crew as we've all kind of moved here and gotten our, our feet in the dirt. It's really appealing to be in a place where you know that you've been accepted. And that's, I felt at that very first basketball game we went to, that we got to experience firsthand, how different our fans are here at Oregon. And obviously that's a big appeal.
Hey, Coach, I got a chance to play for Nick Saban when I was in Miami with the Dolphins. You coached under him. You coached under Kirby Smart, kind of that Nick Saban coaching tree. I heard you tell the story about, about getting the call to be on his staff a couple nights ago. At Oregon, we're this close, right? We've been knocking on the door for a long time, but haven't been able to crack through that championship ceiling. What makes a championship culture? Coming after your national championship at Georgia, you guys put it together after a long drought. What is the difference? What makes a championship team?
Complete alignment and buy-in, I think, is really key through the entire organization. We talked to our players yesterday on the field about, player-led teams as opposed to, coach-led teams. I think that's a big piece. You have to champion your locker room and be, willing to challenge the guy next to you. It has to be a competitive environment where people want to compete. aren't afraid to compete. I think all those things really occurred for us. And then the stars have to align a little bit. You have to catch fire at the right time. All those pieces matter. But just when you're in an environment when everybody wants to be their absolute best, and when you can come away from a win and still, you'll remember this, come away with some real constructive criticism on things you can get better at, even after a W, I think that's when you really take your game to the next level.
To piggyback a little bit off of that, Joey talked about how this program has come close in the past. They've been to 2 national title games, got a Heisman. Joey's team probably should have been in the national championship game. And so while it was rising, while it was ascending, it was like really cool that it was having these moments. But then once it got close to the top and didn't make it, there's almost this sense of this desperation. It's like we have to win a national title. You're coming in the part of that frenzy where that's the expectation. That's what fans want. There are fans out there who don't even care about the Rose Bowl, which is fascinating to me. How do you handle dealing with that expectation here at Oregon? A program that's never won a national title game before, but they expect you to get that done.
We welcome expectations, but the reality, that's not going to be the center of our focus. Right now we're worried about today, and then tomorrow we'll be worried about tomorrow. I think you just got to take it one game at a time, one day at a time. And I think that's really a key. When I think about Oregon, that's one of the things you think about in the past. That was really a focus here. And, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about a national championship at Georgia. We spent a lot of time talking about the next game, right, and the next focus. So that's going to be our approach here. We have to be infatuated with the process. And we're going to be infatuated with the process. We're going to focus on what gets us there, those minor details, and not cut corners, and I think we all know the end all goal, but you have to focus on what's next rather than, what's way down the road.
And kind of along those lines, when you sat down with Rob Mullins and this committee that was searching for the next head coach, did you give them a blueprint, or how did you sell yourself on being the man here at Oregon? Because with this being your first head coaching gig, I'm just curious how you voiced that to this committee.
Yeah, I was able to lay out a plan, what this is how I do it based on where I've been and what I've seen firsthand. I think obviously I know I'm relatively young in the profession, but there is, high quality of experience that I've been able to have. I've kind of worn every single hat within a football program, whether it be graduate assistant to assistant coach to recruiting coordinator to coordinator. So a lot of that, experience I think's benefited me, and I was able to kind of lay that out for Rob and let him see that firsthand in the direction that our program would go.
Coach, I think people are excited to see what type of defense you bring in, right? Oregon has been an offensive school for as long as I can remember, and you're the architect, or viewed as the architect, of a defense that brought home a national championship. What makes a superstar defense? What makes a defense? And can you, is it more than players? Is it scheme? What can you bring from Georgia to Oregon to help create that type of defensive mentality here?
Yeah, I think, the best coaches I've ever been around do a phenomenal job of adapting to their personnel. The team we were at Georgia in 2020 compared to who we were in 2021, we were different. We were stronger at different positions. I think you got to know where to alleviate and where to put stress on a team. I think you have to be able to adapt, because offenses over time, Oregon made everybody change the way they were playing defense, early on. And I think that's the same sort of things we want to do defensively, is make everyone change the way they play offense, and be able to adapt and change. Football's an ever-changing game, it goes in cycles, but if you can, adapt to your personnel, look for creative ways to add simple concepts that look complex to the opponent, and that's the goal for us at the end of the day.
Coach, you came in an interesting situation. Usually when a coach leaves, nowadays with the early signing period, that really can impact recruiting. But you guys were able to rally this class, get to 25th rated, which we can all debate all day whether that means anything or not. But how do you feel that you and your staff did in terms of piecing together a class on the fly?
Yeah, obviously we had a shorter window than a lot of other people, based on, finishing up being at Georgia and, kind of wrapping up what we were doing there, made it a little more difficult heading into the off season, or those few weeks that you had right before signing day. That being said, I'm really proud of the job our staff did. We didn't lower our standard. We didn't take players that we didn't think were a fit. And then we went and competed and got some guys and won some battles in the recruiting, because I think the guys we brought in, they saw what Oregon can be. They shared our vision for this program, and I'm really pleased with some of those pieces we added.
Hey, stick with us. When we come back, we'll have more Dan Lanning when we return on Talkin Ducks.
Do you have a stay-at-home project? We can help. Contact Parr from the comfort of your home. Get a free quote online or call a pro to order your materials. And the best part? We deliver. Call us or visit parr.com for details. Parr, your project experts for 90 years.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Sometimes leadership is scary, but so is regret.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Let's hit Victory Road, presented by Capital Toyota in Salem. Your way on the Parkway. Here's more Dan Lanning and what he feels this Oregon team needs to do this next season. Coach, you come into a situation, especially with the transfer of Bo Nix here, where there might be a quarterback battle. How do you go about having the confidence in choosing who that starter is going to be? What attributes are you looking for when you decide we're going to go with guy A over guy B?
Yeah, I think you figure that out as you go, right? I mean, because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, we want somebody that can be a leader on the field. We need a coach on the field, someone that protects the ball but also scores points. You know, I think we all want the same things. We have to see who adapts and who takes this thing and really runs with it. And I feel confident that we've got multiple guys on this team that can, you know, make us successful at the quarterback position, which is exactly what you want.
Coach, you told the story on the Zoom call the other night about just getting up and driving to the Pitt football offices and just sitting down, putting yourself down in a seat and saying, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to sit here and wait and create an opportunity for myself. How have your experiences, you know, what is it, Mason Jewell? Am I getting that right? Like it's
William Jewell.
William Jewell, you know, small college ball to sitting in the office of the Pitt football program to coaching with Nick Saban and winning a national championship at Georgia. How do your experiences shape the type of coach that you want to be and how you want to run your program?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade, you know, one experience in my process and becoming the head coach here at Oregon. Every one of them seems so valuable now that you didn't realize at the time. And I kind of joked with some of our coaching staff the other day. You know, I thought I was a good coach in 2011 when I was a graduate assistant at Pitt, and I didn't. Now I realize how bad a coach I really was. You know, I wasn't where I am now, but that's what makes coaching so exciting, that you can continue to grow. You can continue to learn, and any one of us that stop learning, the minute you stop learning, you've just stunted your growth as a coach, in my opinion. So, you know, who I am now today as a coach, I think, you know, great credit to those experiences I've had, but makes it even more exciting to see who you're going to be 10 years from now. As long as you're willing to learn from those experiences, you know, I think you got a chance.
Coach, I have to bring you back to quarterback only because we talked about it every single week on the show all season, because fans were upset. They wanted Ty Thompson to be the starter over Anthony Brown, even though not one of them had ever seen a practice. But Thompson is the most celebrated QB recruit in the history of this program. In your evaluation of that position, what have you seen from Ty that makes you believe, like you just said, that he could be still a leader and a great quarterback? And then why did you bring in a Bo Nix? Was it strictly just to have a veteran presence so you knew you had someone you could go with?
Yeah, I just, like I've said before, competition makes, breeds excellence. And that's what we need. We need competition, not just at quarterback, but every position. But Ty's been working his tail off, man. I went up to him the other day and said, man, you can run a little bit. We've been doing these team runs. And he goes, did you expect something else? He's got a great confidence in himself, which I love at quarterback. But just seeing the way those guys compete every day, it's exactly what we needed at the position. And I'm excited to see where that goes.
Coach, I want to go back to one of your answers to Joey's questions about the way that you felt you grew as a coach since 2011 when you were a graduate assistant. In what ways do you feel like you've grown as a coach over the past decade plus that has you here now? I'm curious from your perspective what you've seen within yourself.
Yeah, knowledge of the game was a big piece. I mean, you learn over time. I feel like I think I've told people before, when I went to Alabama, I feel like I got my doctorate in football. You learn how many different ways people do things. And that's, that was exciting for me as a young coach. Probably dealing with people is the biggest thing. And then the more people you get to coach under, the more people you get to observe. And I'm going to be Dan Lanning. I'm not going to be somebody else that's sitting in this chair, but I can promise you I learned a lot from Nick Saban, Mel Tucker, Kirby Smart, Mike Norvell, Todd Grant. Like in that process, there's something you can learn from everybody. And both of my parents were teachers. So that's something I've kind of built, my career on, is being around people that I felt like I could learn from. And I've been fortunate enough to be around some phenomenal coaches and players that have kind of, grown my career.
Coach, we have to ask you about the running back position only because you had guys going in and out of the portal left and right. You were recruiting, trying to bring guys back. You got dollars to come back. You got 7 to come back, which I'm very happy about because now he's going to wear number 7. I've been wanting to see that since he got recruited. But you lost Dye, who obviously was a fan favorite. Can you talk a little bit about that, just that whole situation there as much as you can, and then give us your sense of how you feel about the portal in general and what it's doing to college football, good or bad?
I don't know that we'll completely know what the portal has done for college football until we look at it 4 years from now.
Right.
A lot of the transition creates some weird feelings for a lot of people. And I think, players on our team, they wanted to kind of figure out who we were before we got here. The reality is they weren't recruited to play for me. They were recruited to play for somebody else. And I think they had to feel that out. But, in a lot of ways, that just takes a conversation. And I think sitting down, having a conversation, we had to figure out who wants to be here and who felt like there were better opportunities for them, elsewhere. And, all that being said, I wish every player that's ever been a part of Oregon football nothing but the best. But I want to coach the guys that want to be here. And I know we have something to offer for those players that are here. So it's going to be ever changing. I'll never say we won't take players from the portal, because obviously we will. We're going to do whatever is required to strengthen our program. But we want to build our team, from the ground up. We want to be able to go sign high school players and develop them over time, because we believe in our ability as coaches to do that. That being said, it's going to be a resource, and some people have done a really good job of using it. We want to utilize it as well. I think there's a lot of teams that hurt themselves when they live in that world that we'll probably see here in the next few years, as opposed to the teams that, have success in it. So we'll see.
The Oregon facilities are legendary. They only keep getting better. They sort of set the benchmark that everyone started copying them. And then Oregon folks said, well, we'll just do one better. Since you've been there now, were you at all impressed by the bells and whistles? Are you still trying to take it all in and learn all the different toys you have at your disposal? Or was it overblown?
No, it's elite. It's a different level. I mean, it's a different level of impressive. And, it's such a competitive advantage for us. I think when you think about Oregon, you think about innovative, and they were super innovative and ahead of the curve when they created what they've created here, from a facility standpoint. And that cutting edge is an advantage for us. And when I start talking about the haves and the have-nots, I think that's something that we have here that a lot of people are, like you said, playing catch up to. And that's what we want to keep doing here, is make everybody else play catch up.
Hey, Coach, my last piece isn't necessarily a question so much as it is a statement of support. And, you said it takes a conversation. You had a conversation with 175, plus of us on Zoom the other night. And the moment you said that you wanted to share a frosty beverage with us, I think you had us all ready to run through a wall for you. So I just wanted to share that anytime you're in Northeast Portland, the door is always open, the fridge will always be stocked with cold beers, and you are always welcome.
Let's go. I love it.
So let's go.
Huge thanks to Dan Lanning for taking some time out of his very busy schedule to join us. We'll wrap things up with Joey and Aaron and get their thoughts on the conversation here later. But up next, great friend of the show, he hosts the Solid Verbal podcast. Dan Rubenstein will give us more of a wider lens look at the college football world and where the Ducks sit when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back to Talkin Ducks. It's time for our Thing of Beauty, presented by Dr. Lee B. Daniel and Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Live beautiful, and joining us is the always beautiful Dan Rubenstein of the Solid Verbal podcast. And Dan, let's talk about the other Dan here. What do you make about the Dan Lanning hire, and do you feel like you'll be successful here at Oregon?
I think so, yes. I don't know what successful means. I know what the expectations are for Oregon, and that's to go to the college football playoff. Oregon spends and behaves and recruits like it wants to build not just a Pac-12 championship team, but a team that will go to the playoff every so often. And I don't think you make a hire like Dan Lanning, who has the reputation as a recruiter, as a motivator, as somebody who has been amongst these championship level programs, if you don't believe that he is somebody who can take you there. So I really like everything I've heard about him, both from within the program and from people that were around him at Georgia. And it's talent acquisition. It's talent acquisition both from the coaching side of things and from the player side of things, and what he was able to do in short order with the 2022 recruiting class, what he appears to be doing with the 2023 recruiting class. I like a lot of what he's done in his coach hires and the analyst and GA hires. That kind of thing I think has been quite impressive. I think there is, I don't think a lot to be desired, but a lot to be learned about what this offense is going to look like with the first-time play caller. And that I think is where Mario Cristobal and Dan Lanning have diverged thus far, is that later on in Mario Cristobal's time in Eugene, he was leaning on older, more grizzled coordinator types, Joe Moorhead and Tim DeRuyter, and then looking at position group guys as the primary recruiters or the energy guys. And so it's a change. It does not one strategy is better than the other strategy. That's not English. But I'm curious to see what the offense looks like. I'm curious to see what recruiting classes look like. But again, by all accounts, the energy, the hunger, and the vision, which is what I think separates coaches now. Like, I'm always wary of hiring, retread is not a kind word, but a guy who would rather be somewhere else. A guy who is let go from a job and takes a job just to take a job. Or somebody who comes in from the pros and doesn't understand what goes into recruiting in 2022. So I think Dan Lanning checks a number of boxes, perhaps other than the West Coast experience and, you know, the now underlying fear that any successful Oregon coach is going to leave for a similarly large job somewhere else.
All right, Dan, let's get to the hot topic brought to you by Comfort Flow Heating, the HVAC industry leader in Western Oregon since 1961. And a quarterback battle. What do you make about this Bo Nix transfer? Because last year for Oregon, you got a 5-star recruit waiting in the wings behind Anthony Brown. And now, instead of that 5-star recruit becoming the de facto starter this year, he's going to be in a quarterback battle. So it's Bo Nix versus Ty Thompson. What do you make about that?
I feel mixed about it, though I think a lot of what we're seeing coming from Auburn, Alabama right now may inform some of why Auburn players have looked around, that for whatever reason, Auburn hasn't been a place. And we're talking about Bo Nix, who was Mr. Auburn. His dad plays there. He starts as a true freshman, as a 5-star quarterback himself. And so for whatever reason, he gets hurt at the end of the year and decides that he wants to look elsewhere. And he, of course, has that past with Kenny Dillingham, that familiarity, who was at Auburn. So I get it. If he felt like, for whatever reason, that things were not on stable ground at Auburn, that he wants to look around. There are rumors about him, you know, rejoining Gus Malzahn at UCF, but Oregon's certainly a much bigger program than UCF, and one that didn't have an obvious quarterback. And so from an offensive line returning, check. From a promising, if not good, receiving core, check. And major program that has the pieces in place to compete for a major conference, it makes sense for Bo Nix. And from Oregon's perspective, I think you lose your star rating as soon as you walk on campus. Like, it's very easy to say quarterbacks take time to develop and, you know, they're not who they are as a freshman than who they are as a junior. But on a certain level, there is that binary quality of, like, he's ready, he's got the goods, he gets it, or he's not there yet. And so my feeling is maybe Ty Thompson's the guy, but we haven't seen him throw any important, meaningful throws yet. And it certainly seemed like last year, if it was obvious that he had the qualities and was ready to be a Pac-12 winning quarterback, he probably would have played more. And so I think I defer a little bit to a number of smart offensive coaches who were there last year who saw him and for whatever reason didn't come to that conclusion. Maybe it was a Mario Cristobal override. I don't know. But on a certain level, these guys are going to do anything they possibly can to win. And Mario Cristobal had the Pac-12 within his grasp and said, this guy isn't the guy, at least not yet. And so my feeling is it was just an open job, and Bo Nix saw a major open job.
And Dan, what's interesting to me about Ty Thompson is that it felt like the stakes were too high for Oregon all season long to roll the dice on a freshman quarterback. Oregon was in the hunt for a college football playoff spot prior to that final regular season game against Utah, it felt like.
Right.
And it seems like for Oregon, if you had brought Thompson in and replaced him for a game over Brown and you lose that game, it kind of washes away everything that you were trying to do. And if this was a team that was 500 for the year and the season's kind of already written off, then I think you can experiment with Thompson. But with the stakes being so high, it just felt like you don't want to roll the dice on a Ty Thompson when you're knocking on the door of the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think beating Ohio State in Columbus changed the calculus for everything. That sent a message to the coaching staff of what we're doing right now with who's playing, and that's, you know, without Kayvon Thibodeau and Justin Flo. What we're doing is a playoff caliber season. What we have going on is a playoff caliber season. Let's not mess things up. Let's not try to get too cute and, you know, bring in a quarterback for every fourth series or something like that. And so I think that changed things, that they looked at Anthony Brown and they looked at the offense and said, it's a good enough offense to beat Ohio State. It'll be a good enough offense to beat anybody in the Pac-12. And if we run the table in the Pac-12, we're winning. We're going to the playoff. And so my guess is when things sort of started to go sideways with Anthony Brown, be it mistakes or 3-and-outs, whatever, that they said, okay, let's see what we have in practice with Ty Thompson. Let's give him a chance to run with the ones, which he was reported to have done, and let's see what we have. I don't know the specific answers, but I can guess what a freshman does and doesn't have, and that's flashing incredible throws and perhaps not having the maturity to bounce back from interceptions, to get the offensive line, get the wide receiver set quickly on the same page. And so that's the worry, that Oregon has this playoff caliber team and they're losing a game like they did against Stanford with Anthony Brown that they shouldn't, just because of Ty Thompson's, you know, ceiling and floor essentially.
All right, we'll have more with Dan Rubenstein when we come back. We'll talk about USC and whether or not they will be the sleeping giant in the Pac-12 next season.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade. We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with? Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Time to put things into focus, brought to you by Pacific Clear Vision Institute, the official eye doctors and eye surgeons of the Oregon Ducks. Well, Dan, what do you make about what we might see from Oregon as far as the most exciting thing? We've talked about, obviously, a new head coach, Bo Nix versus Ty Thompson, but until we see this team line up against Georgia in September, we really don't know what to expect. So what are you most looking forward to seeing once games actually begin this year?
I mean, scheme's the obvious thing on offense because Kenny Dillingham said, we're going to run pro style, but we're going to take advantage of speed and find one-on-one matchups. All great, all wonderful. I don't know what that means. I don't know exactly what that means in terms of how quickly they play. I know they mentioned they wanted to play with pace, and what the term pro style could mean, now 32 different things. So what I want to see is I just want to see the defense. I want to see, because of what I believe to be a pretty still high ceiling, even with a couple transfers of rotation guys, DJ James started at corner. But the big thing about the Georgia defense was, and in a different place talent-wise, I understand, is they came in waves. They played the twos just as much as the ones. They got in fresh legs all game long. Other than, I think the safeties stayed in a little bit more than the other position groups. But Oregon has built up depth on defense. They bring in a couple of key transfers at corner and defensive line, and it's how much does this defense, being run by Tosh Lupoy, being run by Dan Lanning, how much do they trust the backups to come at teams in waves? And what does that defense look like? How much do they trust the defensive line to get home? How much pressure do they bring? Because for Oregon, this is new. It's Mark Helfrich, it's Willie Taggart, it's Mario Cristobal, it's Chip Kelly, it's Mike Bellotti. These are all offensive guys. And so I welcome it because if you can field a defense anywhere in the vicinity of Georgia's within 3 years, 4 years, whatever, conference is no problem. Conference is no problem right now. And so you love to see it. There were some low moments for Oregon's defense these past, 6-8 years. And if they build up this reputation for a fast, angry defense and just at least a quality offense, I'm thrilled.
All right, let's fly around the Pac-12 courtesy of Eugene Airport Fly Easy, fly EUG. Well, Dan, Caleb Williams obviously making shockwaves in the college football world. He transfers from Oklahoma to USC, and now you look at what the Trojans have built, and because of this transfer, how impactful is this? Do you feel like that USC is now back and one of the favorites in the conference?
Sure. Oh, Oregon should absolutely be concerned. My thought is it's an incredible hire for a playoff coach to come to LA. That he didn't take his offensive line coach, Bill Bedenbaugh, I thought was a pretty big strike against Lincoln Riley, because as we've seen with USC teams these past few years, they've had the talent on offense. They have NFL receivers, plural, every year. They'll have an edge rusher here. They'll have a safety there. Talanoa Hufanga from Corvallis just, was making plays deep in the NFL playoffs. But what do those lines look like? Because what has changed since USC was USC, whatever that means, is offensive and defensive linemen are not being developed on the West Coast in the way they once were. And whether it's going to Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, whatever, and USC is going to have to recruit bigger and the way that Pete Carroll did in terms of bringing in guys nationally. And what do they look like up front? Oklahoma had one good defense under Lincoln Riley, and that was last year in the COVID year in 2020 when he got a key edge rusher back in Ronnie Perkins. And so USC, for all of its might in producing Drake London, Juju Schuster-Smith, like, what do the defensive tackles look like? What does their right tackle look like? Because the secret sauce at Oklahoma was year after year NFL offensive lines. That's not what USC has right now. They will score points, but I don't think they're going to fully be a threat for the conference until they have guys in the trenches who are competing with Utah and the best of Oregon. And I just, not this year, not right now, but if they can get those guys, absolutely Oregon should be scared, because I don't know what Oregon's going to look like. Oregon should be scared of USC and USC should be scared of Oregon, and that's a great thing.
All right, Dan, thanks again for your time. Don't forget to check out the Solid Verbal podcast wherever you find your podcasts available. All right, when we come back, Matt Preem will join us from 24/7 Sports, share his thoughts on the dud of a weekend for Oregon basketball, and also what to see from signing day and what else might we see with this Oregon football roster. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more Talkin Ducks when we come back. You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Time now for What's Cooking, brought to you by Sam's Northwest Barbecue, the largest brick-and-mortar specialty barbecue store in the Northwest. We're now joined by Matt Preem of 24/7 Sports. And Matt, let's start with Oregon basketball. We saw probably one of the ugliest losses in the Dana Altman era as far as what it meant for this team and what was at stake. Does this basically dash Oregon's at-large hopes to make it into the NCAA tournament?
Boy, yeah, it was a really bad, surprising loss by the men's team against California. Probably the first time since 2018-19 when they lost to Texas Southern at home that they lost to a team that bad on their home floor. It's going to be costly. The projections still have them barely in. They are projected to now play in the play-in games in Dayton, Ohio. And looking at the schedule remaining, they probably can only afford to lose one more time if they want to have their at-large hopes stay alive. And it probably has to be to Arizona. Washington State, Arizona State, you've got a Washington game. You got to win those games. Even the LA schools at home, you have to beat them to keep your at-large hopes alive and feel confident going into Selection Sunday.
All right, Matt, we talked about some potential late 2022 additions or transfers to this Dan Lanning roster. Any updates there for us?
Well, before I jump into football, there is some big basketball news as well. This past weekend, the Ducks hosted five-star 2023 recruit Mookie Cook out of Compass Prep in the Phoenix, Arizona area. He was here for the Stanford and Cal games. All indications are he had a really good visit. We'll be curious to see what happens with the fallout from there. Oregon's a major player, so is Kentucky. And interesting note with Cook is he actually is from the state of Oregon, grew up here, played his first 2 years of high school basketball at Jefferson High School in Portland before transferring down to play a national high school schedule at Compass Prep. So 6'7", top 5 player, would be the highest rated player ever to sign with the Ducks if Oregon is able to get him to commit and then ultimately sign with Oregon. So that's the caliber of player that was on campus. Now, from a football perspective, the Ducks did extend the scholarship offer to Micah Overton from Liberty University. He is the older brother of Levis Overton, who is going to reclassify from 2023 to 2022. Levis is a 5-star. Micah played at Liberty, like I said, Oklahoma. I believe some other SEC schools are also kind of discussing extending scholarship offers to him. He's in the transfer portal, 6'5", defensive tackle. He will be on an official visit to Oregon probably in March, and it's going to be interesting to see if Oregon can kind of create a package deal with the Overton brothers.
All right, thanks again, Matt. Make sure you check out Matt's work at Duck Territory on 24/7 Sports. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll put a bow on this episode and close things out with Joey and Aaron as we recap our conversation with Dan Lanning.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade. We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with? Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. All right, let's have a toast, brought to you by Sylvan Ridge Winery, proud partners of the Oregon Ducks. And Joey, let's start with you, because overall impressions, a head coach has so many responsibilities for a program. He's the name and face and sort of sets the tone for the program. But what do you take away from Lanning, everything we've seen the last couple of months, and you add in that conversation what we just learned from him?
I think the biggest thing for me as a player was I wanted to play for somebody who had a vision, who was consistent, and who was relatable, right? Someone that you wanted to get behind, somebody that you wanted to lead you, someone who you trusted to say, this is what we should do because I have the experience and this is what has worked. He's in that interesting place of having worked with Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and won a national championship, but also having the youth and the fire and the desire to go recruit and relate to those players. I mean, I walk away from that thinking that this is the type of coach that can immediately come in, command respect because of his resume, but connect with the players in a way that most head coaches in the country can't. Look, if I'm in that locker room, I feel really good about having Dan Lanning as my coach. And if I'm not in the locker room, as just an Oregon fan, I am thrilled to have that guy lead our football team. And I can't wait. Aaron, you've said it a couple times. You're 0-0. But you know what? I'll stick to the 1-0 right now that he's won, because I'll make it 2-0. Because he's won over the locker room and he's won over the alums and the fans out there. So he's 2-0. There you go, Aaron.
No, I mean, that went pretty much how I thought it would go, since I've watched a lot of his interviews, and he's a very personable guy. He comes across as very enthusiastic, and that he definitely has a plan and knows what he wants to try and accomplish at Oregon. I asked about the national championship expectation with this program, which I think is a bit over the top, given the fact they've never won one. But I think the way he answered it was perfect. He said, we're not going to shy away from the expectations. We're going to attack it, but you got to start from the basics and build this thing up. And I just want to ask fans, man, you got to give this guy time. You got to be patient. He's going to have some growing pains. I guarantee you there's going to be some games where you're going to be like, why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? Why are they doing this? That's all part of the process, especially for a young, brand new head coach. But I believe his ceiling is super high, and hopefully he'll reach that ceiling here at Oregon and give fans what they want.
Last question for you both. What do you think is his biggest challenge this season, stepping into this team? What do you think it's going to be for him and his staff to overcome? Let's start with you, Joey.
I think consistency, continuity, right? I mean, I think you're going to see flashes this year, but kind of like what Aaron said is that consistent performance, consistent coaching, consistent product week after week comes from establishing a foundation. Comes from establishing a way that you do things, a culture, right? And so I think he has incredible talent on the roster. I think he has an incredible coaching staff that he's put together. I know that, in the few interactions we've had, that he's got a great demeanor about him and can motivate the players. But they're still getting to know each other. I think you've hit it on the head there, Aaron, and that it's that consistency that I think is probably going to be the toughest thing this first year. They're going to have moments where they shine, but they're going to have moments where they're still kind of trying to figure each other out. You just hope that the former can outweigh the latter. Did I say that the right way? Yeah. There you go.
What's fascinating to me about this situation is you don't have a coach that's fired because you don't have enough talent and you were losing. You have a coach that left you a boatload of talent based on recruiting star rankings, but we don't know yet if they're players or dudes, right? So he has to figure that out. Like, I have players recruited by someone else for what they wanted to do, but they all should be pretty talented. So he can't dismiss a lot of people because they're going to have 4 stars by then. And so he has to balance finding the talent that he can win with and the talent that can adjust to his system, and then what adjustments he needs to make to his system and his plan to fit the talent they have, because it's too good to just dismiss because they were brought in to win and you have a great class. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just going to be this big giant mess. That's why I talk about how there's going to be some inconsistencies, because he has to try and figure that out. You bring in an offensive system and a coordinator who wants to run a certain type of system with a certain type of players, and you inherit a bunch of players, but they're all really good. You have to make those players fit into your system and find that balance. So that, to me, is going to be the most fascinating aspect that this coaching staff has to face this first season.
But you know what I think is great,
What stood out to me, Aaron? Oh, go ahead, Joey.
What I think is great is he addressed that, right? When we asked him about how do you bring that defense to Oregon, he's like, it's not about trying to find the players that fit my system, because my 2020 Georgia defense was different than 2021. I think he acknowledged the fact that he's going to have to flex and find places to set guys up for success, right? And that's what great coaches do. I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like Lanning has got things figured out so far, but I think
it's
consistency
February.
Will be the biggest challenge. I think it will be. And hey, we'll take the 2-0 to start this season here at this point. But fellas, thanks again. And also just big thanks to Dan Lanning for joining us. It'll be great to catch up with them as the season continues next year. That'll do it for this edition of Talkin Ducks. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Don't forget, you can catch us next Tuesday. We'll keep you up to speed on more happenings on the hardwood for men and women's basketball as they continue to make their way through the second half of Pac-12 conference play. From all of us here, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.